Hello, everybody, and welcome to the College Conversation. Welcome to our special Teens Ask Me Anything session. And we're going to go ahead and get started in just a minute. We just want to make sure that everything is working and that I can see everything, and then we can go ahead and get started right away. So let's see. Looks like I have a different view than I normally have. Let me see here. If I can find it, I can't. Where are we on our dashboard? Okay, I'm looking right now. Here we go. Okay, perfect. Now I can see. All right. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for being here. I'm Lisa McLaughlin, for those of you that don't know me, which I think a lot of you know me by now, but your teens may not, and welcome. Welcome to our special Teens Ask Me Anything session. And to start, I would love to know, if you're a teenager and you're here right now, I want you to pop in the comments your grade level and where you're tuning in from. So what city, what state, I would love to know. So pop that in the comments, and we're going to get started in just a second, and we're going to start answering the questions that I've already prepared, because we actually had almost, I think, 50 something questions were submitted. And so we went through and we picked ones thematically to really help you tonight. But it's going to be a super useful event for you for sure. So wonderful. So we've got lots of folks here. I can see, I want to see it all in the comments. Okay, that looks great. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to focus on you, teenagers. And I'm actually speaking directly to you, okay? So the parents that are here, I love that you're here. And I wanted you to come with your teens, because you're also going to get a lot of information when you hear how I answer things. But I want you to just understand that the audience that I am genuinely speaking to tonight is you, the teenager. And I don't do this very often, because most of my events are just for parents. But I will tell you that this is usually one of my favorite events that I do. And I'll tell you what the goal of tonight is. So we'll be here for 30-45 minutes. And it's not a rapid fire, drop your question in. It's not like that. And that's very intentional, because the goal of tonight is really to help you calm down about college admission. And I want to answer the questions that, first of all, I believe I can answer thoughtfully and expertly without a ton of context needed. And I'll tell you that one of the hardest things about being a college admission strategist and counselor is that you need a lot of context a lot of times in order to give a really expert answer. And you'll learn in a minute why that is. And so I want to be careful that I'm not misinforming you, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And I want to make sure I'm giving you advice that's actually going to make you feel better and give you some informed opinions based on my 28 years of working in college admission, okay? So everyone should drop in the comments if you have a teenager. I want the teen to let me know sort of where you're tuning in from. And I see that there's folks from all over the place. We've got New Jersey and Reno and Massachusetts. Rebecca Jack is Massachusetts. We've got a ninth grader from Michigan. And always feel free to put the first names in if you want. New Jersey in the house tonight. We got lots of folks from New Jersey. Senior from Tennessee. Fantastic. This is great. And it looks like we've got freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, lots and lots of people. Okay, fantastic. I'm so glad that you guys are here. So again, the goal of tonight is to calm some nerves. I'm going to start with two very quick announcements that are for your parents, and then I'm going to move my attention to you, my teenagers. So the first is that the biggest announcement is that my 10-week college admissions program that is for parents of 8th through 11th graders, that closes for enrollment tomorrow, Wednesday, February 8th. We close for 2023. What does that mean? I have no plans to open enrollment again in 2023. I've said that before in past years, but I'll tell you, like, I'm pretty serious at this point. Just looking at my calendar, I don't think it's going to happen, because I have a high school senior who's going off to college, and I want to make sure that I spend some time with her this summer, and I'm focused on being really present before she goes away to college. Okay, so last chance to get in with this fabulous group of parents. I can already feel the energy, and it's going to be awesome. And the doors do close tomorrow night, Wednesday at midnight. Okay, so make sure you get in. The other thing with that is we did decide to extend the bonus of that Hunt for the Perfect College workshop to everyone who's in this session. Okay, so if you get in this session, then that Hunt workshop, everyone's going to get it. It'll be put in your course library. the day after you enroll. And that's that activity that's going to help to really engage your teens in really positive, wonderful college talk. So grab that. The second thing is that we have that college list building masterclass, not that class, my masterclass, and that is expiring tonight. So get in there, please, and make sure you watch it. 90 minutes, it's free. You're totally going to understand, how to go through the 4 stages of college list building with your teen. It's a parent-only event, so teens, you don't have to go to that. But that is expiring tonight, and it's on replay. And so I'll make sure that we drop that in the comments as well. Once you register for that, check your email and your junk mail, because you have a unique access link that will then take you to the replay room. We're getting these the link's not working. Everything's working on our end, so you got to check your systems, okay? But don't miss that. That comes down, and that's gone as well for 2023, okay? All right, here we go. So the way that it's going to work tonight is we got, like I said, almost 50 questions, maybe more afterwards. And what I did is I went through all of them and I categorized them, okay? And I have them on my other screen, so that's why I'm looking up. I categorized them into academic advising, so things that are related to grades and classes and things like that, and we've got 4 questions in that area that I'm going to cover. We're going to talk briefly about the essay for college essays, and we're only going to do 1 question related to that because that's really, really nuanced, and I don't want this to turn into a question, a Q&A related to essays, because that's a whole nother ballgame. We've got 2 questions that are related to college lists and building college lists. Why is that not going to be our focus? Because that's what I've been focusing on with your parents for a long time now. For those of you that, their parents were in this college list formula Facebook group that's going to close on Thursday. That was our pop-up group. And you can still get in there if you want to enjoy the content. But we've got 2 questions that relate to college lists, 2 questions that relate to scholarships. We've got 3 questions related to what are the qualities of successful applicants, like what are colleges looking for. We've got a college visit question and then an application strategy question. So we're going to cover a lot of ground tonight. And here's what I want to say to you, okay? And from now on, I'm talking to teenagers. I want you to know that even if your question is not answered tonight, I want you to think about what it's like in class sometimes when someone asks a question that you never even considered, okay? They asked something and it was either something that maybe was in the back of your mind or you were too worried to ask it, but they ask it and you go, oh, that's a really good question. Wow, I never thought about that. That's what I want you to do. So even if your question isn't answered tonight, I don't want you to think, well, they didn't answer my question. I want you instead to think, hey, I could really learn about this, okay? Because college admission is a huge animal. Think of all of those different categories. You're going to learn so much if you just pay attention to how I'm walking you through some of the things you need to think about when it comes to the questions that you're asking, okay? So here's what's super interesting to me. We're going to start here. 50 questions, that's what came in. Guess how many started with, does it look bad if, will it look bad when, do the colleges care about? Almost all of them, okay? Almost every question that I got was, will this look bad? Will the colleges care if? So we got to talk about that. And I read that and I just wanted to hug you all because I wanted to say, oh, we got to flip the script on this, okay? We got to get you guys to stop thinking what looks good and what looks bad. And you need to understand more about how this college admissions review process works, my friends, because I want to assure you of something right now. It is very rare for 1 or even 2 things to make or break whether or not you're going to get into a college. Like a decision that you make about a class, 1 class, it's pretty rare that that's going to make or break your chance of getting into a school. Same with test scores might be a little different if it's not a school that's test optional, but an activity that you're doing that you want to quit that you've done for a long time and you want to quit it. Does it look bad if? We got to talk about this. So I am going to explain something to you about context first because everyone has to understand this, parents included, okay? And actually, what I want you to tell me in the comments right now, and when I say this again, I'm talking to the teens. In the comments, I want you to think about this. How many times, are you someone that often thinks in those terms of, will this look bad? Will it be bad if? If you are, either do like a thumbs up on the post or put a yes in the comments so we know that you're not alone, okay? Everybody thinks that at one point or another. Is this gonna ruin my chances of admission and all that? You're not alone. So let's talk about context, okay? All right. When a college is evaluating your candidacy, you as a candidate, you as an applicant, they're looking at a wide variety of things, and they're gonna walk through what I like to call, and this is most colleges, okay? They're gonna walk through what I like to call 3 pillars of application review. And I talk about this in detail in the admissions formula. I teach your parents this so they can calm down and get off your back a little bit. I help them with this. That's why I do in the admissions formula, okay? But there's 3 pillars of application review. There's the academic review. What's gonna go into that? Looking at your transcript, looking at your grades, looking at the rigor of your coursework, whether or not you are challenging yourself to the best of your ability. We'll talk about that a little bit. They're going to look at test scores if you decide that you want to submit your scores. If it's a test optional school, they're going to look at them. They're going to maybe look at your test scores. They might look at your AP scores, but those often are not used for admission. How many of you knew that? How many of you knew that? Okay, often the AP scores aren't used for admission. They're used for placement. But they're going to look at all these academic things, okay? Then there's going to be the extracurricular review, right? And they're going to say, okay, this is the one big question they're asking. What has the student done that they care about? How are they going to know that? They're going to look for things on your resume, things on your activities that you've done for a while, hopefully, okay? But don't mistake me saying that with you believing like you can't quit something if you're not into it. That's different, okay? But they're trying to figure out, like, what do you care about? What do you stand for? What contributions have you made, okay? And the contributions can be, what things have you done for yourself to make yourself a good person, right? Do you have hobbies? Do you do things on your own, right? They're looking at these different sort of buckets when it comes to the extracurriculars. They're gonna look at, what do you do for yourself? Okay, do you cook? Do you have family responsibilities? What do you do when it's not like structured time? Students right now, drop something in the comments of what you do when you don't have structure. What do? Do you read books? Do you play basketball? Do you, I don't know. What do you do? What do you do when it's not like part of a team, okay, or part of an organized activity? What's something that you do? They're going to look at that. Then they're going to look at, what do you do at school? Okay, are you in clubs? Do you have anything like student government? What do you do at school? And then they're going to look, it could be sports and stuff. And then, what do you do for your community? Okay, do you do service? Do you go to church? Do you have religious things? Whatever your community stuff is. Here's the myth. The myth is that you have to have something in every pillar for these extracurricular things. You have to have the stuff for yourself, the stuff for school, stuff for community. No, you don't. No, you don't. You just have to show that you've got something there, because colleges want to know that you're not just going to like screw around the whole time when you're on campus. They want to know that you're going to do something positive for yourself, okay? So that's the extracurricular pillar. And the last pillar is one that is sort of those soft factors, your character. What do you do for people that's nice? Are you altruistic? Are you empathetic? They're going to look for sort of those sorts of qualities. Where do they find that? In your recommendations, in your counselor letter of recommendation, if your counselor knows you, in your teacher recommendations, in your essays. Okay, so when you're evaluated, they're looking at all these different things. So if you're thinking, Lisa, someone asked a question, we're going to address it in a minute. What if I get a C in this class? Should I drop it? Is it going to hurt my chances of admission? Well, it depends on the context of everything else, right? Because they're going to look at everything, you guys. So try to get out of your mind that like one thing you've done is going to ruin your chance of admission somewhere. They're looking at all of those different things, okay? So try to release that weight a little bit of like, you're screwing up if you did one thing wrong, even a couple things wrong. And here's what I'll say. There are some big things you can do to screw it up. You could cheat. Okay, academic honesty is a major no-no. Okay, if that, especially if that's something that comes out. Okay, when you cheat on something or plagiarize or whatever, no. You know, an alcohol or drug violation, a criminal record. Okay, those things, yeah, you better worry about those. All right. But the other things are not things that usually are going to like keep you from getting a spot based on one thing. Okay, so that's context. They're going to look at all of that. How else are they evaluating you? They're also evaluating you based on what was offered at your high school. So they're going to look at your record, they're going to look at your classes that you're taking, and they're going to compare it to, well, what was available from the school. And so if you're applying to a highly, highly selective school, they're going to want you to take as many rigorous classes as you can handle, but that's only for one type of school. Okay, there's lots of other schools where you don't have to do that, but they're evaluating you in context of your environment. So let's say there aren't a lot of clubs at your school. A lot of you, because of the pandemic and all that stuff, you didn't have a lot of opportunity to do clubs. You didn't have a lot of opportunity to volunteer. And how many of you feel like you needed to scramble at the end to like pick things up, pick up hours for colleges? Don't do that, okay? The colleges are being very forgiving about that. Just show you care about something, okay? If you're always playing video games, you know, and you're not doing anything else that's like collaborating with anyone else, or then that might not be great for college admission, okay? I think we sort of always know that. But you can go and sort of pick up some things that matter to you, that you care about. And the more you genuinely care about something, the more colleges are going to genuinely feel like you care, and that's what matters the most. Okay, so I wanted to give you sort of that big sort of context thing at the beginning because I think it'll help with some of the questions that we're going to address. So here we go. So we're going to start with, and sorry, I have to look at my other screen here. Okay, so I'm going to use, I'm just going to use first names and not last names for this because you guys are minors. So, and I don't know, I'm weird about that. So here we go. So the first question, Alisa asked this, and it's related to academic advising. Okay. So she said, I got A's in honors geometry and algebra 2, but have a C in AP calculus. Okay, so she went through and she got A's and then she dropped to a C. How bad will that look to colleges? And based on this, is it extra bad if I don't take a senior year math class, but take 3 other AP classes? Or should I take another AP math, even if I think I'll get another C? Okay, so these are all the questions that if Alisa was sitting in front of me right now, I would say to her. Okay, and I do it this way because I don't just want to give you an answer, I want you to understand the nuances, all right? So here's the first thing. My first question would be, well, Alisa, are you going to need this math in college? In other words, are you going to be majoring in a STEM, right? Are you going to look for, you know, science, technology, engineering, or math? Is that something that's important to you? If it is, then it's probably better for you to continue to pursue the calculus because you're going to need it in college, okay? The second question I have is, well, how selective are the colleges that you're applying to? Because most colleges want a year of math every high school year. They don't want you to drop math. Why would they not want you to drop math? Because when you're in college, you have to take math. And so you don't want to take a break from the things that you're going to have to eventually take in college. Let me say that again. You don't want to take a break from a subject area that you might need again in college. It's going to make it very difficult for you, Alisa, okay? Now, with the bigger question of the last one, should I take another AP math even if I think I'll get another C? AP Calculus, you took the first year of AP Calculus, which is called AP Calc AB. Okay, so you're really asking, if I get a C, should I go to AP Calc BC? Again, it depends on how highly selective the college is that you're looking at. If it's not one of those uber selective places, I would say you're probably fine taking a different math class, okay? Maybe they have statistics or AP statistics, okay? And if you really, really are like, there's no other maths I can take, there's nothing that would be, you know, there's nothing offered at my campus, then yeah, I'm okay with you not taking a math and taking those other classes in your senior year, okay? But not many colleges are going to go like this, Alisa. Not many colleges are going to say, okay, well, she got a C in AP Calculus, and oh, that's why she didn't take it senior year. Instead, they're going to say, oh, she got a C and she still continued it? Wow, she must not care. She must really like to learn. She must want to just keep going when things are hard. Okay, you're showing your tenacity by doing that, okay? So hopefully that answers your question. And I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's basically how it works when it comes to that, okay? Okay, so, and I just looked at a comment from someone said, oh, you're talking about hobbies. Okay, so Lisa, hopefully that helps you to think about this, and it might help some of you others who are thinking, should I drop a class or if I get a C? Well, not necessarily. You shouldn't just automatically do that. You need to think in context of how colleges are going to look at it. And I'll tell you this, don't level down in your senior year. That's not a good thing to do, okay? Because colleges are going to see the classes that you're taking in your senior year. So if we have juniors here and you're thinking, I'm going to get out at lunch, I want to take 4 classes, that's what everybody does. Colleges are going, what did they do to their senior schedule? Because the senior schedule counts for them. Even if they may not see the grades, okay, some may not see the grades before they make a decision. If you applied early, they're going to eventually see them, and they're going to want to know sort of what was going on, okay? So hopefully that helps, Alisa. Second question is from Andrea or Andrea, and she asked, another look bad question. Okay, so, and actually, this was, hang on, I got to get over because mom asked it and I said, well, that's not in her words. Okay, let me get it. Okay, so she said, does it look bad if I only take 2 years of Spanish? My mom said no and my friends said yes. And that's always fun when moms and everyone's giving you different opinions. Okay, so let's talk about this language thing because I think someone else had asked the question about language as well. So again, we are at that, does it look bad? Well, if we can stop thinking about does it look bad and instead we can think of what it is we really want and what we're going to show up for ourselves, here's what I'll tell you. If I were an admissions officer and I saw that you stopped after 10th grade with your language, and language is very nuanced, you guys, and in the admissions formula, my program for parents, we spend almost 20 minutes, maybe even longer, just talking about language paths, okay? It actually might be longer than that. So does it look bad? Here's the thing. Colleges want to know that you have a global focus. We live in a world where learning other languages, we're one of the only countries where we only know one language, okay? And you only have to take a couple years and check it off. So it tends to look better if you exceed the 2 years. But here's what I would tell Andrea. Did you know that in college, when you start college, if you don't have to the 3rd level of a language, so if you don't go through, for example, Spanish 3, you will probably have to take language when you're in college. Did you know that? And I wonder if that would make you change your mind, okay? Because what would it be like if you took 2 years of Spanish in high school, then you took 2 years off of a language, and then when you start college, you would have to take a placement test or pick a whole new language in order to get your degree, okay? So my pretty blanket advice, unless there's a learning disability or there's some like real reason why you can't get to the 3rd year, okay, is to take 3 years, okay? Not 3 years, get to the 3rd level, okay? I want to be careful because some kids take it in middle school. Just make sure you get at bare minimum to the 3rd level. Now, Andrea, if you're applying to highly selective schools, more selective schools, they're going to look for every year for you to have a language, every year for you to have a math, every year for you to have a science. They're looking for those foundational classes every single year. That's how you show rigor, okay? Is making sure you do something called exhausting the curriculum for that subject area, okay? So it also depends on the types of places where you're applying. There's plenty of colleges where 2 years is plenty, okay? Even here, I'm in California, the University of California says 2 years, but if you read between the lines, 3 are recommended, and most kids, to get in, you have to be on that, what they recommend path, okay? So hopefully that makes sense, and you'll have to kind of think of which way to go on that, okay? And let me know in the comments if you're here when I say your question, and it's Andrea. I don't want to say last names, but she would know if I said the question. Okay. The next one is from, and this is not really, it's kind of academic advising slash extracurricular. So I wanted to cover this. So Kimberly, and I'm assuming I'm saying the mom's name. So Kimberly asked, and these were, her daughter had said, if I quit honors band junior year so that I can take other electives, does it look bad? See, does it look bad? Everyone asked that on my college application. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there, okay, and say, well, my first question to you, to Kimberly's daughter, would be, okay, well, what are you going to do instead? Like, are you going to do something else that's equivalent to honors band? Are you still going to, obviously, it's probably not very easy to get into honors band. You probably did a lot of musical work to get there. So is there something else that you're going to be doing in music and you just didn't want to do that? Are you completely shifting away from music? And here's what I'll say. I will never be the one to say, you better keep playing, you better keep playing clarinet. I will never be the one to say that to you, because I don't believe that's good for anybody to be forcing them to do something they don't want to do. But what I would do is say this: are you going to just play on your own? Like, are you going to continue it as a hobby? Or are you just like, I'm done. I've been doing this since I was 7. I don't want to play clarinet anymore. And if you're going to pivot, you better pivot to something, okay? Because the context here that mom gave me in the thing was she worked hard to earn first chair clarinet. So this could be a leadership thing for her. Okay, but you're not going to be a very good leader if you hate what you're doing. That kind of makes like the worst leaders. You don't make someone that, like, you're not a great role model if you really don't like to play clarinet and we're forcing you to take a leadership position. So what I would say is that if this was going to be your thing that you felt showed leadership because you got a position, then hopefully there's something else that's going to show leadership that your daughter's doing, okay? And remember, and I have a whole video on this, okay? Leadership doesn't just need to be that you're a captain or a first chair or president. No, leadership shows up in lots of ways, you guys. You can lead as a volunteer. You can organize things on your own. You can take initiative. You could be the student that helps the kid with the broken leg. All this stuff is leadership, okay? So, and what great essays those make, right? I think we always think like, well, if I don't get a leadership position, then I won't show that in an application. No, leadership is defined so broadly to colleges, you guys. So you can think of other ways to get leadership, okay? So the short answer is because she said she doesn't enjoy it anymore. Well, you know, would I want you to be pulling teeth, Mom, for the next 2 years to make your student keep doing something they don't want to do? No, but they should be doing something else that's going to keep them healthy, okay? Okay, so that was Kimberly's, and now we're going to move to talking about an essay question. Okay, so Lauren asked this, and I'm sure it was son or daughter. So the question was, I have a serious chronic health condition. And this question is like, whew, when I read this, I went, oh, I can't believe, we got to stop thinking this way. So this is what she said. I have a serious chronic health condition. Is it cliche and overdone to write about this in my personal essay? And I'm like, wow, don't think of it like that. Okay. So whatever it is, you guys, if you have a chronic health condition, if you have neurodiverse needs, if you have a learning disability, if you're LGBTQ, if you're whatever those things are that you feel you shouldn't share because it's cliche or it's overdone or I shouldn't talk about it and the colleges don't want to do that. Don't do that. Write from authenticity. So I would ask Lauren's daughter or son, well, I mean, has this been a big deal for you? Your chronic health condition, how did it impact your work? How did it impact your stamina? How did it impact your perseverance? I think all the people I know that have written about chronic health conditions, it was a really big part of their existence in life in high school. So why would you leave it out? It's your story. It's part of who you are. Be who you are when you're writing. Don't pretend to be someone you're not. And cliches are more like if I were to say the things that I sort of, when I read it in essays, I'm like, ugh, okay. Cliches are like the winning game, you know, the score that I made, the run that I made, or the time I volunteered, at a community service event, building houses down in Mexico, those are things where, let me tell you why colleges don't love those things. Colleges want to know more about who you are, what makes you you. And if you're going down to Mexico and you're building houses every weekend and you've adopted like if you're really immersed in the culture, that's different than I did this many hours and my life has changed. Okay. That's not what they like. But living with a chronic health condition, dealing with those things and navigating high school, write about it, girl. Like, don't leave that out. I think it's super important. Get comfortable and vulnerable writing about the things that have made you who you are. Okay. That's huge. So that's sort of my soapbox about essays. The most authentic essays are the ones that come from who you really are. Don't think about like a college is going to hate hearing this. It's your story. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't write about who you are. Okay, that's super important. And if you feel that way in the process, you've probably picked the wrong colleges because you want to be comfortable communicating with this place where you're going to live for 4 years, right? Where you're going to be, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Now we're going to move on to a couple college list questions. So Lisa said, this was her sophomore daughter, had said, since there are so many colleges, how do I start to whittle down the list without researching all of them? Okay. How many of you think that way? You're like, there's so many schools and where do I start? So here's what I'm going to say. Okay. First of all, if your parents didn't watch my masterclass, please make them watch it because it's going to make your life, teenager, easier. It's going to help you to have a more fun time as you're going through this process. Okay. So what I would tell Lisa's daughter is this. You need to really start thinking about what you want in a college. Okay. You want to really build your awareness of what's out there. And I talk about this in my masterclass for parents. Okay. But how do you figure out how to whittle down the list? By getting really clear on what you care about. And it doesn't have to be a major, right? How many of you teenagers that are sitting here, how many of you are not sure what you want to major in? If you're not sure what you want to major in, put number 1 right now in the comments. 1 means you're not sure. If you 100% know exactly what you want to major in, I want you to put a 2. And I want you to look at the comments, you guys. And I would bet that there's a lot more 1s and 2s. And hey, I might be biting my tongue right now, but I want to see it in there because I'll bet you most students don't really know what they want to major in. You sort of think you need to, but you don't. So, but what you do is you have to think of what other parameters can you look up in order to figure out what you want. Someone else had asked a question that said, I'm really interested in choir and singing. How do I find the colleges that have that? Well, a lot of colleges have choir programs. You're not going to limit it all. Instead, look at all those ones. Instead, what you need to do is think about because I'm combining it with someone else and I don't have it on my list, but let's just say you're interested in choir, singing, and you really, really want to just continue that in college. Maybe you want an a cappella group, maybe whatever. Get as granular and specific as you can. Then you got to find something else. Okay, so I want to sing, but I also want to make sure that it's a college where the professors really know me, right? I want a collaborative learning environment where if I have a problem, then you can start building a list. And I teach all that in the admissions formula. I teach the resources of how do you find all those different things, okay? But just as an example, just for those 2 things, you could look up something called the National Survey of Student Engagement, okay? I have like 500 of these resources, right? But that's just one for collaborative learning. And then you could start to find your list of places that have that collaborative environment. And then you can look up lists that are related to the a cappella programs, the competitions throughout the country. And then you can look for similar names, and that's how you start to build a list. And I'm going to say this to everybody. Everybody. Start small. If you are a teenager and you're sitting here thinking you need a list of 10 to 20 schools right off the bat. No, you don't. 1 or 2. Start with a couple. Dig into that research, you guys. Go on the website and check it out. And this is what I taught your parents, like what they needed to talk to you guys about, okay? Because the more you can dig into a couple schools at a time, 1 school at a time, the more you're going to feel good about researching. Because Lisa's daughter said, how do I start to whittle it down without researching all of them? All of them, 1 or 2. Start with a couple, research it, get excited about schools, then move on to the next ones, okay? So hopefully that helps a little bit. I did this whole class on college list building for your parents. If they haven't watched it, they should. Okay, let's see. So let me go to a couple scholarship questions. Okay, so I loved this question. Oh, this was a good one. Okay, so some of you haven't even thought about this yet, but especially if you have, this is kind of a parent thing, but I like that a student asked it. So she said, if I get enough scholarships for freshman year, okay, so a lot of times when you get initial scholarship offers from schools, especially if they're called merit awards. Merit awards are based on grades, achievement, types of classes you're taking sometimes. So she said, if I get enough scholarships for freshman year, what happens if I don't get enough for the next year? Because scholarships are hard to get and take way long to write. What if I don't have time to write them for next year? And I was like, oh, good question. So what's the answer? You're going to make sure that you don't land at a college, Melissa's daughter, unless you have enough renewable scholarships. If you don't have enough renewable scholarships, you need to pick a school that's more affordable. And I'm doing that with my own kid, okay? Where I literally just had this conversation with her the other night where I said, I know you're applying for all these external scholarships, and that's great that you're doing that, but we want to make sure you get the renewable ones. So let's really focus on the scholarships that are from the schools that you're thinking about attending, okay? Renewable, write that word down. You need renewable scholarships. Scholarships where if you meet a certain threshold, you'll be able to keep getting them, okay? And I think there's a lot of youngers here, and this wasn't necessarily for seniors, but I just wanted to cover that scholarships section. I'll tell you, Diana asked this question. I think it was her daughter. Is there a website to go to apply for scholarships? Or are they on individual college websites? The best one that I've seen that I like that's not super spammy is called bold.org. That's the one I think is the best for scholarships. And we've been using a lot of them, and that's the only one that it houses a lot in there, and it's kind of an easy system. But the most merit aid money, the most money, you guys, that you will get is from the college itself. And that's why building the list correctly is huge, because your parents are going to save a lot of money and you won't have to go into huge student loan debt, okay? So just kind of on the scholarship thing, I wanted to make sure that I touched on that. Okay, so now we're going to get to the qualities of successful applicants. So JoDee's junior daughter said, is there something that you would say is the most important thing to have when applying to college? Is there a must-have that most colleges are going to look for? Yes. And actually, hang on. Let me think of how I want to phrase this. Yes. The most important thing to have when applying to college is a transcript that you're proud of. Is that copping out? Okay, so what do I mean by that? So when you're applying to college, I will tell you the most important thing they will be looking at is your transcript, okay? And it's not just the grades, you guys. They're going to be looking at the types of, they're going to look at the types of classes that you're taking, okay? So they're going to look at the rigor of your classes. They're going to look at, the upward trajectory of their grade. They're going to look at all of these different things, okay? That's the most important, is the rigor, okay? But do not think that what I'm telling you there is, okay, that means you have to just like take all of these hard classes no matter what. I'm not saying that. It's just they're going to look at that. And why am I telling you this? Because if you're a student that believes that getting an A in an easier class is better than getting a B or sometimes even a C in a harder class, you need to flip that around a little bit. Colleges want to know that you're challenging yourself without going overboard, okay? Don't go overboard. I believe that mental health matters above all else, and I don't care if that means that, you can't get a spot at Harvard because you're not sleeping, and don't think of it like that. Okay, what I'd rather have you do is hear me loud and clear. The most important thing they're going to look at is your transcript. They're going to look at the types of classes you're taking, the grades in those classes. That will matter the most. The other stuff is everything that we already talked about, okay? So for one college, they might be looking at this over here. They might be looking at does she do community service? Because that's a school whose mission is really about service. Maybe they're a Jesuit college and they're looking for something like that, okay? At another college, they might be looking at more leadership in what you've done in athletics, because it's in a college where there's a lot of different intramurals and clubs and sports, and that's what kids are involved in. So there isn't necessarily one standout factor that's going to matter for every college. It doesn't work that way, okay? So when she says, is there something you would say is the most important? Well, it's not like one thing. It's the whole, the transcript, your grades, that's going to matter the most, okay? Everything else is to fill needs of the school. But the first thing that colleges are going to look for is, are you a strong enough student where you're going to be able to do well here? That's what they care about. They don't want you to leave sophomore year. They want you to go, and they want to retain you. They want to make sure that you graduate within 4 years, ideally. And so that's what's going to matter the most in that, okay? Samantha asked this, and a lot of you have these questions about summer programs, so we're going to talk about this real quick. Her junior son said, could doing a business summer program at our state college help with admission to the school? Probably not, okay? Because especially if it's a pay-to-play program, it's a program where anyone can just sign up, do an application, and do the program, okay? Those are not the programs that help. Now, what will help is if you're interested in studying business and you don't have anything that really shows where that came from other than my dad told me I should do business, or my mom said that's what I would be good at, then doing something to immerse yourself in business would be pretty important if you want to declare it. And that business major is hard to get into, because the more so business is an impact, it's called an impacted major at a lot of colleges. So is engineering, and so is computer science, and so is nursing. Okay, so if you're interested in any of those things, and there's more, but those, you should have something in your extracurriculars that shows your interest, whether it's computer science and you do programming and tinkering, or it's engineering and you've done something to show you've taken, something in your school that's related to engineering. They want to see that if you're going to declare those difficult majors to get into, that you know what you're talking about and you're a serious applicant. So her question of would it help, it's not necessarily going to get your student into that school, but it might help him to be more of an applicant that they would want more, because they know that, oh, here's a student who wants to study business and he's done some things in business. And so we know he's more serious and maybe won't change out of that major. Okay, does that make sense? So I think that part is important too, okay? And then let's see, I think I answered a couple more. So we're going to do just a couple more questions. And then I'm just going to look a little bit at the comments. So this question I really liked. I really liked this. So Cathy said, her teen said, what makes me a good fit for a college that I'm interested in? Okay, and I'm like, wait a minute, what makes me a good college? What makes me a good fit for the college? And I went, oh, we got to flip that, okay? So it's the opposite. What makes the college a good fit for you? That's how it's a match, you guys. So instead of always thinking like, what do I need to do to like make sure the college knows that I'm in? No, what do you want? What do you want out of your education? What do you want out of your college experience? Find the colleges that are going to have those things, and then you'll have so many options that you won't care so much about like, what do I need to do to fit in here? What do I need to do to get in here? Instead, you have a lot of different options. So like, great, look at all these places where you find your fit. Okay, so I wanted to make sure that we sort of flip that. That's on you to decide about fit, right? Don't give all that power to the colleges, you guys. You want to try to really like go for the fit, okay? Okay, so let me look. I'm going to look real quick at the comments and see what we have in here. See if I can do this here. Okay, we're still back to the ones and twos. Okay, a lot of you, Miranda just asked, and I'm not going to repeat a lot of things because you can go back. Okay, someone answered. Okay, so let's say, okay, I think, I so appreciate you helping each other in the comments like that and dropping off some of the things that I said. Thank you, Nicole Lee, for putting in bold.org. Okay, So I'm not seeing a ton in here related to that. So I think I'm going to do one more question, and then I want to close for you all to kind of give you my overall thing that I want to say to everybody. Okay. So the last question is related to, let's see. So Kristy's son or daughter said, will a college know if I have a 504 or an IP plan? Would they know that? Okay, so I want to talk about that, and I think it's important because the other question was, does this matter? Should I tell them? So here's the thing, you guys, and I said a little bit of this at the beginning. If you're so worried about describing something that you've used in your learning, whether it's a 504 plan with accommodations or extended testing time, or that you had a note taker, or you had some classes where you needed some support, if you're so worried about talking about that in an application to a college, you have not found the right colleges, okay? Because the right colleges for your daughter or son, Kristy, they're going to be the ones where, yeah, you absolutely should share that if you're comfortable sharing, because you want to land at a place that embraces who you are, okay? If you're someone with neurodiverse needs, you have ADHD, you're on the autism spectrum, you're whatever, don't hide these pieces, because you're going to face plant when you're in college if you've been using support and then it just slips away and it goes away, okay? So be who you are when you're applying. That is the number one thing that I have to tell you, because I get it. You feel so judged in this process, right? Like you're putting yourself on the line, and what if I say something wrong? Colleges are actually trying to admit you. They're not trying to deny you. They want to accept you. I really believe that, and I have a very abundant belief about it, and I've been in it for a really long time. They're not looking just to like cut you. Instead, they're like, what does this student have that we really need here, right? Like, what is it about them where they're going to contribute to our college in a really positive way? And like, we need a kid like that. You guys are more special than you kind of put off to be. You are. You have so many things, great things going for you. You just have to be honest and vulnerable and spend time thinking about that, okay? My most successful college applicants, and I have done this for a very long time. I've worked with thousands of students with all types of backgrounds, you guys. I have students that are the highest of high achievers, you know, taking all these hard classes, getting straight A's, perfect test scores, doing all the things. And I have students that barely have a 2.0, really struggle, have a hard time, late bloomer. I have all of it and in between. And what I'll tell you is what makes the most successful applicants are the ones who have the best college lists, that you're not just focused on prestige and name. You guys are digging into finding the schools that fit you, okay? Those are the students that go through the process with the most comfort, because they're not just like applying to a bunch of safety schools. Every place you apply needs to fit. Don't just throw applications out to a bunch of safeties. Make sure that all the colleges you're looking at are ones that fit you. And then does it look good if? Is this going to be bad if? It doesn't matter as much, because you'll have a wide variety of schools on your list where you will get in, okay? And when you get to that point of applying, no matter when it is, please make sure that when you sit down and say, I'm going to apply to this school, you're also able to say, I'm going to apply to this school because this is a place where I see myself. It has this and this and this. I can get in there because I've looked and I've researched and I've saw that I could get in based on their acceptance rate. I know I have. Do that and you will feel so much better. And so that's what you're working towards, you guys. You're working towards that piece of it, and not just like, what can I do to be the most competitive for the hardest schools? Don't do that. Flip it. Find the fit first, and it will make you feel so much more relaxed in the process. Trust me, those are the applicants that have the easiest time. Even if they're super high achievers, you're still finding places that are going to be a really good fit for you, okay? And I wanted to just let you all know that, because I think it's really important. So what I'm going to end with is to say just a couple things real quick to your parents so you know this. The admissions formula, my 10-week college admissions program, is for parents. What does that mean? You students are sitting here and you're like, I don't want to take a 10-week college admissions course. Totally. I don't blame you. You shouldn't have to. You're too busy. What happens is I work with your parents, okay, to help them be better humans for you in order to guide you through the process. And what I do is I kind of make sure that you're going to work together as partners. And so my advice to you, students, to make your life easier, okay, to make your life easier, is to communicate with your parents about how things are going when it comes to this college stuff. If you were dragged here tonight and you didn't want to be here, did you communicate that in a way that was like positive for your parent to hear, to be like, I have this and that going on. Is there any way we can talk about it later? Or were you like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be there. If you can try to really positively communicate as much as you can with your parent in this and work together, your list is going to rock. Your college list is going to be so much better, because if not, if you're like stonewalling and you don't want to do it right now and all of that, it's going to make the process a lot harder for you. And I am a mom. I am a parent of a high school senior that's gone through it. And that's sort of just advice I wanted to say. And they didn't pay me to say that. I'm just telling you, it will make your process easier and you can find some joy in it too, instead of always being like, this is the hardest thing ever, okay? So that's kind of what I just wanted to say to close, and I hope that you felt that tonight was worthwhile. The admissions formula will close Wednesday, February 8th at midnight, and enrollment will not be taken after that. So please make sure that you grab your seat if you're interested. And finally, again, the replay for our college list building masterclass is going to come down tonight. So please make sure that you watch that, and that way you'll be able to help your teen to really lay the groundwork and set the stage to build the absolutely perfect college list. That's it for me. Have a wonderful night.